Good morning. This is Mike Houston with your Southeast Idaho weather hazard briefing for Wednesday. We are still looking at critical fuels across a good portion of Southeast Idaho, although we are seeing some zones reverting back to approaching critical. And that may be because we are seeing the ERC percentiles beginning to trend down in a lot of places due to the recent rainfall and higher humidities. Looking at satellite imagery this morning, we still have a high-pressure ridge across the south with plenty of moisture rotating up through the region. In fact, a fairly decent subtropical wave now lifting up out of Arizona into Utah. Along the periphery of this upper ridge, we see disturbances rotating through the flow and across southeast Idaho, which are helping to trigger some thunderstorm activity. Looking at the regional radar loop this morning, we do see, as I mentioned, that that subtropical disturbance now lifting up through Arizona. You can see the leading edge now up into southern Utah here. We'll see that stuff begin to make its way through northern Utah today. Looking at the forecast charts for this afternoon, we do see that monsoon moisture now pushing up through the Uintas, but on the leading edge of the clouds with the monsoon push, looks like we'll see a couple of areas of isolated thunderstorm activity. One here from across the Central Mountains, basically from Galena Summit through Lador on up into Dillon. And then a second area, if we get a little break in the cloud cover, we'll probably see a second area here extending from Oakley to Inkom on up through Palisades and Driggs area this afternoon. The thunderstorms to the north will be relatively dry, and the ones to the south, seeing how they're closer to the moisture source down here, may show some wetting rains with those. Daytime highs today generally in the 90s again, so nice and toasty warm. If you get up into the highlands, generally in the mid-80s to lower 90s. Some higher readings down here across the southeast highlands are possible, although with the added cloud cover, I think we may be a little optimistic here. Minimum relative humidities today generally running in the mid-teens to mid-20s across the board, so still fairly moist for this time of year. As we advanced to Thursday on our forecast charts, that subtropical disturbance now lifting up into northeast Wyoming, and with the back edge of the cloud cover associated with that clearing into Wyoming, we should see a pretty good heating with the daytime sunshine, and with the residual moisture lingering around, we should see a pretty good coverage and thunderstorm activity here Thursday afternoon. In fact, so much so that I'm concerned about possibly seeing a red flag event in terms of scattered lightning coverage. The one fly in the ointment for me, I guess, is humidities are going to be relatively high, generally running in the 20s to 30s across the region, so make it very difficult for things to get rolling out there. As we advance to Friday, the ridge rebounding across the region, we see some subtropical moisture now pooling again here across to Arizona. We do have some isolated shower activity here across southeast Idaho due to the lingering moisture and instability across the region. Looks like the weekend looks fairly dry. There may be a few cells here and there over the weekend, but for the most part, we have this disturbance pushing east through Canada. This ridge, like I said, beginning to rebound across the region, and the subtropical moisture still pooling down here in Arizona, so relatively dry. By the time we get to Monday, looks like that subtropical moisture works up through Utah for a glancing blow on a subtropical push. We'll have to wait to see how that one pans out. Maybe some thunder up here towards the Salmon Chalice, and maybe here across the southeast highlands, Caribou Highlands, with some thunderstorm activity here on Monday afternoon. The next disturbance approaches the northwest coast here on Wednesday, and that interacting with the moisture that we still have lingering across the region, we could see some thunderstorm activity being forced across the southeast highlands and the Central Mountains. That's all I had for you here this morning. If you had any comments or questions, please give us a call here at the number on the screen. Thank you.